What's up, Ravens fans? The Ravens have won 2 straight games, and lots of questions have come into the mailbag this week. Surprisingly, there's some quarterback talk.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. We'll get to the quarterback conversation, but first let's start with this question from Isaiah. And the question is, with a huge Steelers loss to the Denver Broncos, do you think we have a legit shot of winning the division?
A legit shot? I think that there's a shot for sure. I mean, right now the Steelers stand at 7-3-1. They still have the Patriots, the Saints, and up next the Chargers on their schedule. So potentially 3 losses right there. That puts them at 7-6-1. Let's say they
9-6-1.
Yeah. Right. Let's say they win the other 2. That's 9-6-1. So that would mean in order for the Ravens to leap ahead of them, they have to get to 10 wins. Now, what do the Ravens have to do to get to 10 wins? I think they have to win out at home, obviously, and then you'd have to win 2 of your road games. Atlanta, Kansas City, and the Chargers. It's going to be tough, so I would say most likely, the most likely scenario is probably the Steelers are in good position to win the AFC North. If I were a betting man, that's probably what I'd say. But it's more in play. It's not out of reach at this point.
A month ago, it seemed like that was distant, totally distant. But I think that they've come back a little bit, and they're not playing their best football right now. Well, they almost lost to the Jags a couple of weeks ago. So I think that this is more realistic, certainly, than it seemed a couple of weeks ago. All right, the next question, this one deals with Sunday's game against the Falcons. Angel Big Mac 30-39. The question is, who do you think is going to cover Julio Jones this week? Well, I do think it's going to be a little bit of a committee approach here, and I think that Jimmy Smith is probably the most logical candidate. You kind of like that matchup the best. He's big, he's fast, he's your true #1 corner. That's what the Ravens want him to be, and so I think that you're going to see a lot of Jimmy Smith versus Julio Jones. But also, you got Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Carr. The Ravens have not done really at all this season since all 3 guys have been in the lineup. They've not done the matchup. You follow that guy wherever he goes.
They did it for Antonio Brown with Marlon, but Jimmy wasn't on the field at that point.
Exactly. So now you have the big change with Jimmy being back on the field. During this week's Unscripted, a little plug for Unscripted, Jared Johnson suggested maybe Marlon Humphrey shadows Calvin Ridley, which is an interesting idea.
Because of the speed matchup, I'm assuming?
Kind of a speed matchup.
That would be interesting, too, because both guys practice against each other at Alabama.
Yeah, they know each other very well. Yeah. So then you would have kind of a combination of Brandon Carr and Jimmy Smith against Julio Jones. So there's a lot of options here, but I do not expect the Ravens to say, all right, one guy, follow Julio. I don't think that's the plan.
I would agree. And that changes your defense a fair amount, too, when you do that. Last question comes from @Doman Adrian, and the question is, can Lamar Jackson be our starter for the rest of the season? Well, first of all, I'll plug Mailbag. Last week we addressed this very question, but we had to do it again this week because it's such a massive question. And I do think after seeing Lamar for another game against the Raiders, he showed me more. Did he light the world on fire throwing the ball? No. But I thought he did pretty well. And the Ravens gave him that opportunity to see what he could do as more of a drop back pocket passer. And I think he handled himself well. So yes, I do like Lamar as the Ravens starter for the rest of the season. I think first and foremost, it gives the Ravens a running game that they didn't have when Joe Flacco was handing the ball off, to no fault of Joe's. He's just handing the ball off. But with Lamar out there, now it's 11 on 11 instead of 10 on 11, because the quarterback with Joe, he ain't factoring into the run game. So Lamar helps the run game a lot. I think that he creates some explosive plays because of his ability to run and also run to throw. That opens some broken plays up for the Ravens. So I think that this team has a lot of confidence right now, a little swagger with Lamar under center. So, yes, I like him as the starter for the rest of the year.
So why do I have a feeling this is not the last quarterback question we're going to answer?
Definitely not.
I think definitely not. But that's the last question about the quarterbacks and anything we're going to answer for this week's edition of the Mailbag. But as always, we'd love to hear from you guys. So send in those questions every single week using the hashtag RavensMailbag. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.